Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm so glad to be back. I feel like I've been on a trip. I know that's silly. That's silly. Um, that old song, "Take a Trip and Never Leave the Farm." Yeah. Um, I guess that's what I need. Is whatever the people were smoking or taking that sang that song. Maybe I'd feel like I took a trip and never left the farm. But anyway, I got my beautiful little fairy here and my spring layout for my cards. It's time for all of us to celebrate spring and quit worrying so much. I know that's easier said than done, and there's a lot of people that aren't in as good a shape as I'm in to have a roof over my head and stuff. That's what I was talking about. Well, we all need to look forward. I don't think that I was writing down some of my thoughts. And when I'm sitting around in meditation, a lot of my thoughts are coming straight through from my guides. But I feel like the initials BC is going to take on a new, instead of before Christ, I think it's going to take on a new meaning before this is all over. And we all know what that is before this pandemic came along. I've seen huge changes. Uh, Maybe this is just to rush us along into a higher consciousness. And I don't mean like a different world or anything, but maybe where man pays more attention to the quiet things in life, to the family, to their love for their family. And I know that's hard to do when you're working 80 hours a week, but a lot of people have had time to sit back and think. I know I watch a lot of those YouTube and those tiny home videos, and I'm claustrophobic even in a huge elevator, or even when I go on a cruise, even if I have a pretty good sized cabin. So I don't think I'd want to live in one of those tiny homes, but it sure brings you back to what's going on, and especially those they call them earth ships that they make out of everything that's biodegradable. They're pretty interesting. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that, and maybe I'll cut that out, but maybe we could create a better world. Instead of worrying about all we've lost, maybe it could just be better. Maybe we could create a better world for the ones who survived this, and for the ones who didn't. Take time to go out there and fight for something new for the people that survived this, to honor the ones that died. So that's one of the things I was going to read about today. I was going to read about how everybody wants to know how long is this lockdown going to last. Well, you know how time goes with spirit. There's no good way to judge it, because every time human beings have free choice, and every time something real dramatic happens because somebody's had a free choice, even though it's a asinine choice sometime, it changes the whole world. So that's another reason why time's so hard to out on a linear, I guess that's what you'd call it, line. But things are going to change. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen when things go back to normal. Well, I hope that being locked in our houses isn't the new normal, but this isn't over yet. And in fact, if they open things up too quick, this is just getting started. And so I'm going to read a little bit on that. I keep getting messages of threes. Like I said, there's going to be some big changes in our lives. And some of it will be for the good. A lot of it will end up being for the good. Most change is. And of course, nobody likes change. They always say that nobody likes change, not even a baby with a dirty diaper. But there's going to be some, and a lot of them are going to end up being for the best. But we've got some rough times before that. I didn't even put down there to read on the economy. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I always say tomorrow, and then I don't come back for 4 or 5 days. But I think I am going to start doing this like every day for a while. And before this is all over, I have a feeling it might end up being a better economy. But that's only if the people stand up. They're going to have to not be bullied. I don't think they've ever realized how necessary they are. And if the people at the top aren't realizing how necessary they are, like I've heard some of the comments from some of Trump's people, it's enough to make you want to gag. But they need to realize how useful their jobs are, and pay them accordingly, because those jobs didn't just get useful overnight because we need them so much now. We need them all the time. We just never realized how much we needed them until we were locked in our homes. And like some people say, well, one lady whose daughter died said, my daughter wasn't a hero. She was working because she had no other choice. She had to keep a roof over her head. And that's where a lot of these people are. Not so much the doctors and nurses. A lot of them could stay home and just refuse to go in if they wanted to, but they're just wonderful people. And which most of that if we don't learn anything else from this, we've learned that there's just a whole lot of wonderful people out there. I know every day I'm just amazed. I knew they were there, but to see them in action and to see them finally getting credit for some of the stuff they do, it's just, that part of this is beautiful. So we have to start picking out the beautiful parts of what we're finding out of all this. And so I'm going to read about this lockdown, not how long it's going to last, but how many of them there are going to be. I'm going to see if I can come up with some kind of number. And of course, like I said, that changes accordingly to how they let us out. But I can see this scenario the way it's already playing out. It's not like Trump's a good poker player. You know that he's going to open up anything he can as quick as he can. And we know that that's going to be so detrimental to everybody's health, and it's going to cause thousands more to die. And he needs a plan first, but I don't think he's ever had a plan in his life. He just was born under a lucky star, especially to be such a frapping idiot. And then, so that's the first thing I'm going to read on. And the second thing I'm going to read on is kind of about the U.S. Post Office. Well, I'm not sure what's going on there with that. I think that the Republicans would love to see the whole thing shut down right now. Wouldn't that be nice right before the election, when we're going to have to depend on them to make sure that we even have an election? So that may be part of what's backing this, although Trump's had a hard-on for the post office for a hell of a long time. Ever since he got in, he started right in on him. And a lot of that's because they help Jeff Bezos a lot with Amazon, because they help deliver for Amazon. And I'm sure it's already set up and it's dependable delivery. And so, anyway, I don't know if it's Trump's hatred for Bezos, or if it's his hatred for anybody that's making money off of something that he can't get his hands on. It's like the Republicans with our Social Security and Medicare. They just can't stand it because they can't just grab it all out of there. And of course, we know they've been messing with it for the last 50 years or 40 years. Been messing with it, or we'd have a hell of a lot more in there. When that was set up, that account was never supposed to be touched, and then they started using stuff out of it to pay other stuff with. And then they turn around and holler that that's why there's then they turn around and holler that there's not enough in there. When if they hadn't been messing with us, everybody that's retired and on Social Security would be making 2 or 3 times the money they are now. But anyway, I didn't want to get off in that direction, but it's just like any place where there's any money that the Republicans can't get their hands on, it's like it just drives them frickin' crazy. It's just like a dog after a bone. I mean, it is just, it's unreal. And the last thing I was going to read on, and I keep getting people asking me these questions, and it says, will Biden make it to the election? They're all worried about him, and I'm not going to get through all four of these. And then the other one was, I kept having dreams that Trump was violent. I mean, I've been in enough abusive relationships where I know that he's violent, and been violent at times too. Anyway, he's 1/6 son of a gun as it is, so I'm sure he's been violent before, but it's like a new violence. It's like a, I don't know. Like he's just turning on people that he's never even turned on before, but maybe that's just my imagination, but maybe we could do a quick reading on that. But if we're going to do any of these readings, I better shut up and get going. And then I wanted to read on how many phases. How many phases? So I don't think we could even begin to ask the cards to tell us how long this is going to last, but let's ask them how many times this is going to last. Let's see if we get any indications of how many times we're going to be out and back in, because until they get a vaccine for this or figure out if the antibodies work. And then today I heard some news that sounded devastating, that a lot of these people that they thought couldn't get it again because they had the antibodies were actually getting sick again. So we're not sure what we're dealing with here yet. And let's just hope we're not way out over our heads on this. And God, let's hope that nobody pays any attention to Trump. I don't know how many people, probably just off the side, that's died from listening to the idiot. Gone out or gone to church or gone somewhere where they picked this up just thinking that he knew what he was talking about. Of course, well, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to put these poor people down, but he's been in the public eye enough where if anybody's really paying any attention, I can't imagine anybody taking his advice, especially on anything life and death. But there is, I guess. I guess there is. So Spirit, why don't you tell us how long, or well, I'm just going to do a full layout just on this situation that we're in. On the bottom, which is the dark money, dark interest. And since it's to do with this virus, I think put over the top of the card reading, I think that's part of the neglect from not going forward and getting ready and getting people lined up that could take care of this and all that stuff. It's going to reflect really poorly back on this administration that they didn't take care of this and do it in a timely manner, that they kept putting it off because they were more worried about the money than they were people's health. That's why it's a dark money card. Oh, it's really, really bad. We got the 3 cups on the ground though, and I was thinking in threes. So I think we're going to go through 3 lockdowns. 3 lockdowns before this is done. Because the people that are in charge don't know what to do. It's like the blind leading the blind. They need to make some decisions. They need to make important decisions. They need to get tests out to test antibodies. They need to get tests out for fevers, tests out for the coronavirus itself, and they're still just dragging their dicks in the dirt. They're just being terrible. And we got the Four of Swords for the foundation. And I can't help but think that this is Trump. Is his mind shutting down, or does he just know he's in such a deep doo-doo that it's just better to let things go on like they are? It's like just totally not doing nothing. Totally not doing nothing. And that's probably what we should be doing, but and we got the 3 again. It's the 4 of Swords, but I always think of this as a 3 because of it on the wall. So I think we're going to have 3 of these lockdowns. If we have 4, it'd be a short one, the last one. But they can't even explain this to him because he doesn't even understand how viruses work. He thinks that antibiotics are supposed to fix viruses, which antibiotics never have fixed viruses. So we're dealing with the total nincompoop here. Nincompoop? I just made up a new word. How about nincompoop? Anyway, we're just dealing with a total whatever. And just in the recent past, he just thought he had it all. Just cheering himself on, thinking he was doing great, when he hadn't been doing nothing but laying on his ass and trying to cause fights all over for equipment that people need to save their lives. And present now, we got the overseas card. So what we need to do is look to people in other countries that are doing good with this virus. The ones that are, like South Korea. Like South Korea. And see what they've done, and that's what we need to do. We need to follow their protocol, and we want to stop this thing, and we want to get our economy back going. But it's like Trump thinks he's so smart that he doesn't even... I can't believe that he's not looking around to see where he can pick up the best information from. It doesn't even make sense to a normal human adult being that's trying to save people's lives. But that's because I don't think he is trying to save people's lives. I don't think he gives a shit. All he's thinking about right now, this is the immediate future, is how much he can steal. He's still thinking about loading up his pockets with stuff from this, making money off of this epidemic. That's what he's thinking about. Making money. There's the war horse and the money. How much he can screw the government out of because of this epidemic. Still worrying about he don't have enough money to pay his bills right now, instead of worrying about the people and taking care of that. But if he's worried about not winning the election, he's not going to win the election, even if they put him in there against a zombie. I think he's still going to lose the election. And his house is definitely coming down. This is his hope. This is the hope and fears. This is what's going on actually in his house, and it's not good. It's not good. It's the tower again. It's on fire. And there's nothing going to save it. There's people abandoning the ship. There's people jumping out. There's people... The rats are getting ready to leave the ship. And for the future, we have the Empress. Which makes me wonder... I don't know if she'd even do it if he asked her, but Is Biden maybe going to ask Stacey Abrams to be his vice president? With everybody I've thought through and everything I've gone through, I don't know if he's even close to thinking that far in advance, but I think she's the only one that could literally save his ass. I think if she was going to be the vice president and the president, if he got to where he wasn't coherent at all, I think she could really save. It's a female, and it's a female that's really smart, and a female that knows what's going on in the United States all over, on all different levels. I know I've been terrified he was going to pick Amy Klobuchar. But anyway, I won't go into why. It was because of he used some wordings that she used that made me realize that he'd been talking to her quite a bit. And then one other thing he said. But anyway, let's hope he picks somebody like Stacey Abrams, somebody that can really take care of things if they have to. Well, next thing we're going to read on is Trump and the post office. What is it with him and the post office? I truthfully feel it's because he can't get his hands on the money that the post office is making. Thinking that if he had some of his friends in there, that he'd be getting a kickback. If he can shut this down and turn it over to somebody personal, he could get a kickback for the rest of his life on switching it over. He knows there's money to be made there. He knows he's not smart enough to make it, but I think that's part of it. And I'm just afraid that the other part of it might have something to do with the election. So let's just go across here with 4 cards and see. What's going on here? We got the Hermit on the bottom. Okay, so crowning the reading at the top is the Hermit, which means that he would love to see it shut down, because if it shuts down, he thinks he wouldn't even have to go through this next election, especially with this virus. I don't think he even thinks that far ahead of time, but somewhere that's in the back of his mind. He don't want anybody to ever be able to vote by mail. He's such a dupka. Anyway, guess I could put my microphone back on. I had to go turn the air conditioner down. Or actually, the heater now. Been too cold in San Diego for 6 weeks to need an air conditioner. So anyway, on the post office, we got the Hermit. So somebody needs to put some light on the subject and see what's backing all this up. There's all this hate for the post office or whatever. Part of it, a lot of it's, like I said, is Jeff Bezos. Anything that Jeff Bezos got, he wants. Doesn't realize that it takes a few brains to do most things besides go bankrupt 6 times. Now he's bankrupt in the country. Surprise, surprise. It didn't surprise any of you guys, did it? You all knew this was going to happen. Anyway. Well, he's turned the whole world upside down. And we don't know there. Two of them upside down. Turn the whole world upside down, and in the present, nobody can figure out why his tower hasn't already gone down. It's upside down. It's like what was that show on Amazon, where they have the upside down world on the other side? Whatever. It's like we've stepped through a mirror or something and come out in an upside down world. The challenges of keeping it open is going to be fighting the forces of evil. They need to get him out of there really quick before he can mess this up. I don't possibly think there's anything he can do before the election, but if he has anything he can do to screw this all up before the elections, he would do it in a heartbeat. As dumb as he is, he's smart enough to realize that the less people that get to vote, and the less people that can come out to vote, the more likely he is to win this election. And it's not like the Democrats picked the sharpest tool in the shed. They had a really sharp tool, but they were terrified it might change the hierarchy of the money, so they didn't want to take any chances on him. Anyway, I don't want to even go into that. He's not going to get to do it. He's wanting to. He's wanting to change the whole setup. And he knows that's evil, and it could end up knocking him down if somebody finds out about it, but he's still harping about it like he always does. He's not going to stay in power long enough to do it. And this really shows he's not. This is the whole world. This is the wheel of fortune. And it's changing. Changing. I think his lucky charts ran out. Thought I was going to have to pull more cards in this, but I don't think I do. We already know that he's got money and greed motivations. And the whole world knows it. And he's looking at the world upside down. We got the tower upside down, which is just take a breath and don't get in a hurry. It's coming down, but just don't get in a hurry. We just need to breathe and realize that this is going to come into fruition, and he's definitely going to go down. But everything to its own season and its own time. And he isn't going to get a chance to dick the post office up before he gets out of there. He's going to try like hell. Definitely going to try like hell, but I don't think he's going to get a chance to do it. So that's my reading on the post office. And what I'm going to read on now is Joe Biden, again, because I keep getting all these questions from everybody. I don't know the rest of you. I know I've gotten comments from some of you that studied the Edgar Cayce readings and stuff. But he always talked about the little people, the fairies. And maybe they're all smiling because we've got so much of the smog and stuff cut down. Maybe they're all smiling. People that studied him and know what I'm talking about, him and his little friend Anna. But and the other ones, you probably think I'm stark raving mad, but but it depends on what you've studied and what you've followed in your life. I never have been a nature person because probably my birth sign, being a Libra, I've been a little bit too self-centered and too self-consumed to see nature as it is. And also, up until I moved to San Diego 5 years ago, I was in the middle of the desert. And I know they say that it's a living desert, and when I was really little, I used to see some of it. We'd go out and build campfires and have weenie roasts and watch the tarantulas all run toward the fire, but that still wasn't like the beautiful part of like green nature. Another one on Biden. We know he's going to, not just the presumptive nominee, now he's the nominee. Are they going to be able to give him enough stuff to get his mind together? They can't hide him for the next 8 months, 7 months, however long it is till the election. They can't just keep him totally hidden, even with this virus. It's going to make it a lot easier with the virus than it would have been before. It would have been terrible, but you had to be out in public. And of course, now they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him. It was kind of amazing that none of the regular corporate news medias wanted to talk about anything about these allegations against him. And after Bernie Trump finally not only gets out of the race, but the day that he finally says, yeah, that he promotes, Biden 100%, that all this stuff starts coming to the surface about all these women and the new woman. And from my generations, that's the way things were done. I listened to her story. Personally, I couldn't help but believe it, because I know I'll probably get a bunch of terrible comments for that, because that was the way the men of my generation did stuff, especially if they were rich and powerful. They just all thought they were God's gift. And thought they had carte blanche on almost any woman around them. If they worked for them or were in there or whatever, that Mad Men series wasn't too far off. Believe me, because I, like I said, owned a bar all the way through, right in the middle of that. And I know I'd be amazed if I went back and looked at me in that era, because I kind of just thought it was a man's world too, and any attention you could get from a man just made you feel better. And there's nothing wrong with getting attention from a man, as long as it's not because we don't love ourselves. But anyway, I'll quit going on about silly things, but everybody wants to know if Biden's going to make it to the election. I don't know. Let's just do a quick reading on him. Those are upside down. Let's just do a quick reading on him. Well, we got the Seven of Swords. It's going to really be hard for the Bernie people to ever think that they didn't distill this right out from under Bernie like they did. It's going to be hard for them to give up that idea. If he would come out with some of this stuff, because the Bernie people were policy people. And I don't think Biden's even got any policies, except let's just go back to Obama. And Obama didn't have a whole lot of policies. Whatever he had was to get in the first time, like make a change. He didn't. He just didn't want to rock the boat. And I can see the reason. A lot of that's because he was the first black president, but he just really didn't want to rock the boat. Anyway, we're talking about Biden. Let's get back to Biden. He rocked the boat this time, though, after going all the way through his presidency not doing anything, when he called all those people right before that primary and flipped everything over toward Joe, who was down in the losing numbers like terrible. He did rock the boat finally. He rocked it for the rich and famous. He didn't rock it for the black people. Anyway, let's see. I'm sure I'll have to cut that out of there, or everybody's going to be mad at me, because I love Obama. We all have our reasons for everything, and I know he likes being part of that club. So anyway, got the Seven of Swords out, and the challenge is going away. And we're reading on Biden. We're not reading on anybody else. So he's going to smoother waters. I don't see how he could get out of this gracefully, even if he knew he wasn't coherent enough to do it. I just don't see how he could get out of it gracefully unless he chose a vice president that everybody knew could take care of everything. Can't imagine who that would be. Well, like I said, I just told you who I thought it could be, but can't imagine who that could be that the people would vote for. So we got all different angles going on this. We got him looking for smoother waters already. What's he going to do? Put his wife in there and she's kind of doing most everything anyway, even help getting him off the podiums when he's through and staring off into space. But I don't like this card. The reason I don't like it, death usually means change. It means a whole new beginning, a whole change, which could be very good for him. For what I said, is he going to make it to the election? But this also came out where my health, this is where I always use when I do private readings for the first 20 years I did cards. This was always the health card, the health of the person. And we come out with the death card right in the health card. So when I said, is he going to make it to the election, I wasn't necessarily thinking that he may not make it total, might be alive. I was thinking that he would maybe just give up or quit or bow out gracefully. But so that's up there. What they did is they waited too long to look into his past. This is the Hermit, but he's upside down. So had they looked into his past earlier, they wouldn't have been trying to push him so much, but then they didn't really know who to push. They just didn't know what to do, so they tried to get that millionaire from New York in there, and that didn't take off for them. They thought, oh, we'll run a millionaire gets to millionaire. Well, that didn't take off for them, so then they had to figure out a way to anything they could do to get Bernie out of there. In the present, all people want to do is just get Donald Trump out of there, and they don't really give a shit how they do it. They just want him out of there so bad. Just want that lying piece of person out of there so bad. That they might vote for Joe Biden even if he's in a canoe rowing away on election day. They might already be voting for him whether he wants it or not. But there's going to be a lot of work, and they're going to have to start looking at this right side up. If they want to get Biden in there and get him elected, it's cards upside down. It's showing all the work they're doing, but they're headed in the wrong direction. But I mean, most people know that they're really paying attention and watching all the shows that's going on, not just the commercial news and the corporate news, but watching all the news shows. The reason everybody voted for Biden when they did, because just in 72 hours before that election, everybody just started screaming that he was the only one that could beat Trump. And if they'd have looked at the polls, they knew that was not right. Bernie was ahead of beating Trump on all the polls. Well, this shows a lot of action going on, but they're going in the wrong direction. Why, your guess is as good as mine. They're having trouble even getting enough money right now, which is weird since the Democratic Party's backing him completely. About where the money's going to come from, although basically he knows he's going to get the money. Even if people have to send him money like they did Bernie Sanders, they might do that to get Trump out of there, but they shouldn't have to. The Democratic Party's sucked at that trough long enough. They ought to be able to take him clear to the winning circle. I flipped the cards around so it wouldn't be upside down, and I'll be damned if we didn't get another one that's upside down. Okay, this is the Eight of Cups. He's wanting to go away. He does not want to be where he's at. He does not want to be president. It's not like it wasn't his life's dream to be president. It's just that he's pretty confused right now. And the only thing he'd like to do is go away. It's hard to become president no matter how much people hate the one that's currently in there if you don't really want it. He's going to have to want it. That's the environment around him. Some of the people even around him don't want him in there. That doesn't make any sense. Maybe they feel like they can make more money and keep making better money if they can keep Trump in there. Who knows? They're all so much alike. There's no Democrat and Republican Party anymore. They're pretty much intermingled when it comes to the money. Well, for his hopes and fears, we got the offer here. We got the Page of Cups with the offer. I just can't possibly see what the Democratic Party could come up with, but maybe they're going to offer him something. Maybe they're going to try to put somebody else in there. Well, they would have to if he deceased or whatever, wasn't around. But it looks like he's getting ready for a journey. These cards are pretty confusing, but they're not good. We got to get Trump out of there. I'd say vote blue no matter who. Vote blue no matter what. And the outcome's the Star. And I've been turning these cards back and forth all the way through here because they'd come one way and then the other way. But we got it upside down, but even either straight up or outside down, that's a good card for the Democrats. It may look really bad and it may take a while, but this is going to straighten out some way. Because I don't really feel like this Star would be there if Donald Trump had any chance of winning that election. So I really think that the Dems are going to get it. There's going to be a lot of finagling and change. It's not like it's going to get any less stressful between now and the election. Could have been really nice if everybody could have been behind somebody and pulling for all their new ideas and what they had set up. But anyway, it looks like there's definitely going to be like Trump's not going to get in there. But it may look right up to the end like he is. Kind of wish these were Trump's cards instead of Biden's cards. But I wouldn't like it with that Star as a future card if these were his. I'm going to come back tomorrow and read on Trump. I'm going to see if I keep dreaming about him being violent. So I'm going to do a reading tomorrow on Trump's disposition, on his, if he's going to be able to keep his anger in control, because I don't think he is. I think he's losing something really. I think he's just mad because he can't control this virus. Everything of his life has come out so perfect for him. I think he's just enraged because he can't wish it away. Because almost everything he's ever done, he's just said he's going to do it, and whether it's 99% of the time breaking the law or whatever, nobody's ever came after him, and they've always let him get away with it. But this isn't something he can threaten. It's not something he can bully. It just is. Anyway, I love you all. And I came on feeling really happy, and I was going to give you happy words, but I don't know how happy I came out. But I do want to say, if anybody wants a personal reading, you can get a hold of me at lyntarotreadings@gmail.com. Lynn Tarot Readings, with an S on the readings, @gmail.com. And we'll set you right up with a reading, because I'm not that booked. You'd think I would be, but I'm not. Well, everybody seems to love it when I do read for them. I'm not bragging, but it kind of sounds like I am. But anyway, and I've got a lot of people that come back and get more than one reading. So far, everybody seems to be pretty happy with them. So it's lyntarotreadings@gmail.com. I don't know what I would do without all your beautiful comments, and it just keeps me going. And I'll try to get back to each and everybody that comments to me. I always usually do. Even if it's just an acknowledgement, like a love it, a heart, but I usually get, and if there's anything you want me to read on, please let me know, because every time I start to read, I need to quit watching the other readers, because the minute that I think, oh, I've got this, and I'll already be taking notes and have everything down about what I want to say, and I'll turn the TV on and somebody else is already reading it. What I need to do is get in a bigger hurry. Quit putting off till tomorrow what needs to be done today, even though I keep thinking you don't have to get in a hurry because we're all shut down, but we still have to live every day as it comes. I love you all, and thank you so much.